The mansion stood tall in the middle of the wealthy neighborhood, glowing with bright lights as if the chaos outside could never touch it. But on this particular night, the city was falling apart. One street after another was being swallowed by fear, because a wave of robberies had broken out. Gangs were moving swiftly, breaking into houses, stealing whatever they could, and leaving destruction behind. Alarms echoed across the blocks. Neighbors screamed and children cried as families tried to hide. Yet inside the grand mansion of the millionaire, there was an eerie stillness. He sat in his velvet armchair, gripping a glass of wine, his eyes darting toward the tall windows. Every now and then he would hear a siren fade into the distance, or a crash that made his heart race faster. His wealth had always made him feel untouchable, with security guards outside, cameras covering every corner, and steel gates shielding him from danger. But tonight, for the first time, he felt that even his fortune was fragile. Against the storm that was brewing beyond his gates, his thoughts raced. What if the robbers targeted him? What if his mansion became their prize? As his mind spun with fear, his gaze fell upon someone who stood out in the strangest way. The maid. She was dusting the shelf, moving slowly, with careful attention to detail. Her expression, as calm as a silent lake in the middle of a storm. Her hands showed no trembling. Her steps showed no hesitation. She hummed a faint tune under her breath, as if nothing unusual was happening. The millionaire stared at her, his pulse quickening. How could she remain so calm when the entire city was trembling, when neighbors were screaming for help, when glass was shattering outside, and when even his armed guards looked restless, shifting nervously with their radios buzzing? He leaned forward, unable to look away. Her calmness unsettled him more than the chaos outside. Finally, he whispered, almost to himself, "Does she know something? I don't." The thought chilled him as much as the alarms in the distance. He watched her place a candle on the table, lighting it gently, as though she was preparing for a peaceful evening instead of the nightmare that was consuming the city. She turned to him with the same steady gaze, and for a brief second, he felt small despite his wealth, despite his mansion, despite his guards. It was she who seemed unshakable, while he felt trapped by fear. The silence between them stretched heavy with questions. What would you do if you were in his place, sitting inside a fortress made of gold, while the world outside crumbled, and the only person who seemed unafraid was someone you hardly noticed until tonight? Would you trust her calmness, or would you doubt her every move? The millionaire chose the latter. His mind swirled with suspicion. Maybe she was hiding something. Maybe she knew the robbers. Maybe she had a secret. And his fear twisted into curiosity that would not let him look away. The night dragged on, and with every passing minute the noise outside grew louder. Glass shattered in the distance. People screamed for help. Cars sped down the street, leaving behind the echo of fear, and the millionaire felt his chest tighten with every sound. His mansion, that once felt like an unbreakable fortress, now felt like a cage waiting to be cracked open. His security guards paced near the entrance, radios buzzing frantically with reports of neighborhoods under siege. One guard muttered that 3 houses just down the road had been looted. Another said the gang was getting closer, and the millionaire's hand shook as he set his glass down. But when his eyes turned to the maid, he froze once more. She moved with the same steady rhythm, quietly closing the tall curtains, as if the crashing outside did not exist. She arranged the candles on the table one by one, creating a soft glow that filled the room with warmth in a night that otherwise felt so cold. The millionaire's frustration boiled over. Finally, he snapped, "Why are you so calm? Don't you see what's happening out there? Do you not hear the screams and the alarms?" His voice echoed in the high ceiling room. But the maid only turned her head slowly, her eyes locking on his. She spoke softly, "You will understand soon." Her words sent a shiver through him. What did she mean by that, understand? What? Before he could ask further, a thunderous crash rattled the mansion. The steel gate at the entrance had been broken down. Headlights poured into the driveway, and shadows of men carrying weapons flickered against the walls. The guards rushed out shouting commands, but within moments the sound of gunfire echoed, and chaos filled the air. The millionaire stumbled backward, his body trembling with fear. The nightmare had reached his doorstep. He wanted to run, to hide, to disappear, but his legs felt frozen. And then something unexpected happened. The maid calmly placed her duster aside, wiped her hands on her apron, and walked toward the door, not with fear, but with a steady pace, as if she had been waiting for this exact moment. The millionaire could barely breathe. His heart pounded as he whispered to himself, "What is she doing? Why is she walking straight into danger?" He wanted to scream at her to stop, but no words came out, and in that paralyzing moment, a thought burned in his mind. If you were standing there watching someone walk into chaos with no fear at all, would you stop them, or would you trust that they knew what they were doing? That question cut through him as he gripped the edge of his chair. Unable to move, the sound of shouting grew louder. The guard were losing the fight. Robbers were storming closer, and still the maid opened the door with a calm hand and stepped into the night. Her next move would not only change the fate of the millionaire, but would also shock the world in ways no one could have predicted.